Hello again, it's Tino back for some more Diablo action. I'm going to do another MP0 run, and this time I'm actually going to attempt to make it a speed run. So basically I'm going to follow that same pattern that I was doing last time. I will be going core of Ariat to the Ariat crater level 2, and then right to the keep depths, and then I will call it a day. So the build that I use on my Demon Hunter here is essentially the spam elemental arrow style build, where basically my build revolves around just having the maximum amount of hatred regen and that kind of a thing. I use Shadow Power because they heinously buffed it, and honestly it's so good that it's better if you need to choose between Smokescreen and Shadow Power. If you've got a good chunk of DPS, Shadow Power becomes a much more powerful skill. The Life Leech effect is absolutely phenomenal and will just devastate most enemies, which is awesome, and it keeps you alive in some of those tougher boss fight type situations, or difficult elite packs. Difficult elites can sometimes be very, very frustrating, especially like anything with fast is very hard to kite, even if you have something that... Oh, speaking of fast. Okay, so see, in this situation, like, I have no choice really but to face these guys in melee range. Thankfully, they like stack on top of each other, so I can just stand here spanning Shadow Power, staying in Shadow Power form, and blasting them with Elemental Arrow, which I have the Nether Tentacles rune on, because the extra healing really starts to make the build synergy, go through the roof, and it's cool. I can almost get away with doing a melee style build out of this thing. So basically the passives I use are Cull the Weak, Archery, and Steady Aim. I was using Sharpshooter for a very long time, and I read the interesting forum post about Sharpshooter being quote-unquote not worth your time if you've got a high enough crit chance. I do agree with this, and at the same time I don't necessarily think that is the final word on the subject, particularly because the reset on the crit chance only goes down to your base crit. So if you have a lot of crit chance, Sharpshooter is still good, not quite as good. It just loses a little bit of its awesomeness because you don't necessarily need it to stack up again, and a lot of times it can just be reset for most of your playtime. But the other argument is that like it never goes to 0, so you're always getting at least an additional 3% crit chance out of it, which is, some might say, is worth the passive slot for it. But right now I don't really have that high of a DPS, so I'm not going to worry about the extra crit chance just yet, especially because of that DPS factor. Like when you're doing 200k or more, extra crit chance won't necessarily affect your sheet DPS that much, but you'll see a huge difference just in the consistency of your crits. And that's a very attractive thing from my personal opinion. But I'm not doing that at the moment. I don't really have that high of a DPS anyway. 100,000 for Demon Hunter is pretty mediocre. It's sort of like middle of the road, but in the grand scheme of things, it's actually, it's decent. It's not terrible. It could be a lot better, but as I mentioned in a previous video, I have the shittiest luck when it comes to finding items. I very, very, very rarely find something that my characters can actually use. Usually I'm finding something of some modicum of value to like put on the auction house. Try and flip that way, but honestly it doesn't always work, and there's a whole lot of luck involved in this game, and that's a little frustrating because if you're an unlucky person, man, imagine that South Park ski instructor meme. You're gonna have a bad time. Diablo 3 is so luck-based that especially the gear part of it. Well, more specifically, the gear part of it is so luck-based. You know, I can have decent skill at actually playing the game, but it doesn't really matter if I can't get decent gear. Anyways. So here we are. Already at Crater level 2. Let's see here. Aha! More elites. Perfect. Yes! Spam it! Spam a lot! Wow. 5th stack and still didn't get a rare. I've only gotten 2 rares so far. My goodness. Oh. Always pick up the gems, man. Yeah, hey, hey. Gems are suddenly a fabulous commodity, and they sell pretty well. And I think once the next tier of gems come out again, they'll probably become even more expensive. And man, those high tier gems are going to be such a valuable item. Such a valuable item. That's going to be ridiculous. I unfortunately don't think I will, at least at the current rate, I don't think I will ever have a Marquise anything. Because I don't have the playtime to rack up 20 million gold and 14,000 flawless squares or whatever outrageous number it's going to take to actually make them. Ay, ay, ay. But those hardcore players and multi-bloxers and people who farm and make this a job, I'm sure they're going to enjoy that, the new tier of gems. Apparently the Marquise Ruby is going to be even better than the Marquise Emerald. That's going to be kind of interesting. Just because it adds 100 to 150 damage, base damage, to your weapon, which is... That's a significant factor, let me tell you. Looking forward to it. I think it's going to be cool. Looking forward to it. I may or may not, like, just try and save all of my money from now until then, because getting a gem that good is almost like getting a new piece of gear, you know what I mean? Especially if I swap it out of the slot on my mana core here, because whew, oh man, that'll be a sight to see. I will enjoy it quite thoroughly. And I have a terrible mana core. It doesn't even have double socket. Then again, I don't have 2 billion gold to buy one with. 2 billion gold for an item. Jeez. Where do people get the nerve? Where do they get the gumption? The chutzpah. Hey, there's a triple O rares. I have a feeling they're all going to be absolutely terrible. I suppose I could go down that way. Totally will be faster to port and then take the waypoint. So I call these speed runs. They're definitely not really that fast because I like to play kind of casually. I also don't have that much movement speed on my character. Both these characters, both my Demon Hunter and my Barbarian, have Tyrael's Might chest pieces. So they do have the 12% or whatever it is, but only the Barbarian has movement speed on his boots. So he zips around like a madman, but my Demon Hunter is sort of your average speed. I think I can. Slow and steady wins the race. Yeah. That kind of reminded me of the Looney Tunes. Anybody seen the Looney Tunes where Bugs Bunny races the tortoise? You have to. If you've watched Looney Tunes, you've definitely seen that one. And I love the one where the tortoise has the like jet engine on the inside of its shell. Bugs Bunny's just like, why? Oh, Looney Tunes. How you brighten my childhood with your carefree, desensitizing violence. Yeah, if you go back and look at that stuff, the crazy violence in those cartoons was like over the top. No blood or anything, thank God. But man, like Tom and Jerry, oh jeez, they just wail the crap out of each other. Like Tom gets like anvils dropped on his head. He gets like dragged through a house under furniture and around things. Ooh, I thought it was a resplendent. Damn it. Damn it. Come on, good loot. So this character, as you can see in the bottom, actually does have an MF set. The reason that I even bother to have an MF set on this character is because when I play with my friends, I play with a wizard who is Elsevier. He has, you know, like 200-something thousand DPS, so he's essentially got double the DPS of me. He's the insanely lucky friend that I mentioned in a previous video. He does so much damage that I can just sort of wear my MF when we do runs together, especially in like MP4 or whatever, because he just does Archon mode and everything explodes. So I can just mooch. And while it may be the most viable way for me to get loot, it sucks. I hate not contributing. It's like not really that fun. Anyway, I do think that eventually, by the very nature of that situation, I should get, you know, something decent, but it just doesn't seem to happen. And it's not happening soon enough, so we'll see how it goes. I gotta just stop being a Debbie Downer. Maybe this guy will drop a legendary. Go! Damn it. Come on. Come on. Tomes of Secrets are also selling decently on the auction house. For a while there, they just were total crap. And then suddenly they, I don't know, started to go up and sale again. I think that's because the gems are so good. But, you know, maybe it's also in anticipation of some of the crafting that's going to come out. I really hope that the crafting items are potentially good, because that might be like one of the few ways that I could potentially get a decent item. Especially with like that strength on a wand. See what I mean? It's like most of these items just are not even close to being good. I like the quote that somebody put in one of their forum posts on the D3 site. They said that, you know, seeing something get close to being good was like a carrot on a stick. You know, it's like someone dragging like you know, a donut across the floor in front of like people working out at the gym, or you know, it's that kind of a thing, and it's so engaging, enticing. You know, it's like tantalizing to get that item that's just like, one stat off, and it would have been amazing. Or even like, I think that's one of the attractive parts about having upped the legendary drop rate, is that, you know, when you see that beam of light, man, you get a little bit excited. You can't help yourself. The other downside of the increased drop rate of the legendaries is that that beam of light is becoming less and less valuable, or less and less not valuable. Well, yes, valuable, but that's not what I'm trying to convey. Less and less of a less exciting, I think, is what I'm trying to say. It's, you know, it's not so much a ooh, look what just dropped moment anymore. It's like, crap, I got another Stormcrow, or another Sokrin's Gaze, or another Sky Splitter. You know, stuff that always rolls terrible or is totally useless. Hopefully they will address this a little bit more in the upcoming patches, because the state of it is right now, the itemization is still, it's still just not enough reward per time invested. It's not, they haven't found that sweet spot yet, you know. It'd be really cool if you could get, you know, let's say you could get like a legendary per run. That would be a phenomenal ratio. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, they're all going to be good, but, you know, knowing that that chance for something fantastic to drop is present every single run, I think is what's sort of missing in this game right now. They just need that incentive, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, why don't you try... I think maybe if they, you know, categorize the drops via monster power, you know, like... what's the point of gearing up to monster power 10? You have increased, passive magic find, but that just means that you have more chances for items to drop. And at the moment, that's your best bet of getting something good. But most people look at that and they immediately identify that that's literally like one of the most frustrating ways to play a game. It's like, oh, by the way, there's not something that I can really do to help me get past this ridiculous loot randomization factor. So I do sincerely hope that they do something to change it around a little bit. It'd be kind of cool if potentially they did something like, try to gear yourself up to do MP Power 5, because at MP Power, or at Monster Power 5, the MF, the passive MF is, with 5 stacks is like 250. And when you hit 250, your chance to get legendaries to drop goes up 10% or something like that. Like, something's got to happen in these higher difficulties to make them more interesting, more playable. Right now it's just like, oh, the monsters are going to give you more XP and you'll have more base MF, and that's really all we can promise. You certainly won't be getting better items or anything of that sort. It's like, what's the point? I just don't know. So I'm like I said, I'm still trying to find that. I'm still hoping that they will figure out the reward for time ratio. Keep saying that. Someday I'll figure a way to rephrase that cleverly. But yeah, I think that's my only complaint. I think really, I'm not particularly lucky with item drops, but I am overall not heinously unlucky. I do have some decent gear, and the status of the auction house means that a lot of the good stuff drops a lot. So you can get decent versions, not amazing versions, but stuff that's better than a lot of gear out there for fairly reasonable price. But the stuff, like I said in a previous video, the stuff that is extremely good is out of reach for a lot of people. And I think that's probably the biggest frustration that I have with this, is that I just sort of know that I'm never gonna have good gear. It's frustrating to understand that because I'm not really lucky and I don't have a lot of time to play, I'm never going to be I'm never gonna have like pro level gear. I'm never gonna be the best demon hunter on the server. And to a certain extent, that's totally fair. The people who have the time to invest, the people who really give it their all, deserve to be those high-ranking players. They deserve the best gear and all that stuff. But it'd be extremely rewarding for, I think, a lot of players to just have a chance at getting at least a piece or two of gear that's comparable to the best stuff. It's just frustrating that I just know that I'm never ever gonna get really fantastic gear unless the stars align and some random night I just get a crazy lucky drop, like a Zunimasa's with crit, or Zunimasa's Pox with crit chance on it, or a Witching Hour with my main stat. So we shall see how it goes. We shall see. When I first started up my gaming channel, I did mention that I wanted to get into the streaming at some point. I still don't necessarily have the internet speeds that I need to make that a reality, and I certainly don't have the followers to even foolishly attempt such a ridiculous thing, but hopefully somewhere down the line I'll be able to do some streaming and have a chat open at all times and be able to do like a legitimate dialogue, because I love to talk about game mechanics and do like a little bit of theory crafting with people. It can be pretty rewarding, and it's nice to get as many opinions as possible, because it just helps you focus your argument, take criticism and use it to your advantage. It's great to have multiple voices available to you, because that's how you get a good feel for, you know, the environment, the status quo. You know, you can sort of see where everyone's head is at, and, you know, that way you've got your ear to the ground, and yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about these executioner guys. They sometimes can hit pretty hard. On MP0, no big deal. No big deal at all. This is like a cakewalk for me because nothing can really hurt me, and I do way more damage than this monster power dictates, but you know, it is what it is. And I like being able to just like decimate giant groups of enemies. You know, it's so much fun to walk into a room full of, you know, tons of fools and just start streaming arrows and elemental arrow in and watching them all explode in shower of bones and poisoned corpses and stuff like that. Very, very fun. Very fun. That is the one thing that Diablo definitely did right. It's the gameplay is really fantastic. The skills and the builds are, you know, very interesting and fun, and lots of diversity in the lower difficulties. Not so much at the higher levels. You do sort of get pigeonholed a little bit in some of the build styles. You know, if you want to do like a high MP, you really have to be at a certain gear point if you want to try any build flexibility. Otherwise, you know, for a Demon Hunter, you want to try high monster power, you got to have Vault, you got to have Preparation, you got to have Smoke Screen, you got to have Shadow Power. Then you can have a Spam skill, and then you can have you know, like a Hatred Spender. And that's like about all the flexibility you can have. You know, you can change your main spam, and you can change, you know, potentially like your spender, or swap in for some crowd control or something like that. But a lot of times the higher MPs are more about survivability than burst DPS, because, you know, what good is burst DPS if you can't kill anything before it kills you? It's better for you to survive and just last through the damage than try to out DPS a mob that has, you know, 4,000% the health that it does at the normal monster power. So I'm sipping on a Golden Bear lemonade with mango. Holy crap. Arizona, you are one of the most brilliant beverage companies on the face of the planet, really. 99 cents for so many different options. I don't even care if all the high fructose corn syrup is going to give me diabetes. It's going to be delicious every sip of the way. It's worth going back and pick up, right? I think so. The other fun thing about Monster Power Zero is that I can basically play with one hand. As I sip on my beverage in my left hand, I spam the buttons in my right hand. It's also nice having a mouse with 5 buttons on it. Very, very handy. Granted, I can't hit Preparation in case I run out of discipline, but I don't know if you've been watching. I haven't been running out of discipline at all. By all that is holy. Spam, 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 spam. Tome of Secrets. Nothing secret about it. Except that they sell for $1,200 a pop now, yeah. That's why when you get 100 of them, it's like, hey, a nice little chunk of gold waiting for me. Ooh, yes, pygmy. Give me the gems that suddenly are worth things. Apparently the pygmy's not the gem one. Is it the bandit? Or the seeker? I don't remember. I don't remember. Oh well. Stupid demonic tremor. Oh, that's a fallen guy. Ah! Alright. Okay, cool. So we finished another run. Let's jump back into town and scope out the gear and see if I got anything good. And we'll go from there. 60 quivers. MF? Tempted. it might not be a bad thing to have an MF quiver. I think 18% is the highest you can get on it anyway. Yeah, what the heck, right? Okay, so we got an MF quiver out of the deal, so that's not the worst thing. Not anything I can really use, but it is what it is. That's, oh god, terrible rolls on that. Schmeh, no resist. Also terrible, god, just so bad. That's, I'm not even gonna look at that because it's a shield with a Demon Hunter skill on it. Sell, sell, sell. Alright, so, another quote-unquote speedy-ish type run finished. And basically nothing to show for it. Diablo, why do you waste my time? Alright, so it's been your old pal Tino, aka Funk Police, sometimes called the Imitation Situation, because my name is Michael Sorrentino. Hate it. Hate it. But as such, it's just a cross I bear. Thank you guys for watching. I will be back with some more. Maybe next time I'll do a run on the Witch Doctor. We'll see how it goes. Thanks again. I will catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.